Good afternoon, fellow ruminators. Welcome back to another session, Rumination with Andrew. And in today's discussion, we are going to look at the topic, the West wants our gold, Jamaica, Guyana, and Haiti targeted for their resources. Now, what if I told you the Caribbean isn't just sun, sand, and beaches? It's a gold mine, literally. From Jamaica to Guyana to Haiti, powerful Western nations are circling like vultures, hungry for our natural resources. But is this economic partnership or modern-day exploitation? In this video, we break down how global powers are quietly targeting these countries and what it means for our future. Stay tuned because what you're about to hear might just change the way you see the West forever. This isn't just about gold, it's about control. While you're distracted by headlines and elections, Western powers are making their move, and Jamaica, Guyana, and Haiti are right in the crosshairs. Our lands are rich in gold, bauxite, oil, and rare minerals, and suddenly foreign investors, shady deals, and military cooperation are ramping up. Coincidence or a carefully planned resource grab? This question is, are we, or the question is, I should say, are we selling our future without even realizing it? Now, in this afternoon's program, we are going to be joined again by Mr. Corbin, Mr. Fred Corbin. Let me see if he's getting in here. Our special guest, Mr. Corbin, are you there?
Good morning, Andrew. How are you?
Good morning. How are you? Good afternoon for the program in the interest of the program. Now, welcome back, Mr. Corbin, to another session, Rumination with Andrew. And Mr. Corbin is a geopolitical correspondent. He doesn't wish to be called expert, so I would call him my geopolitical correspondent because he is qualified to speak on such events happening in the Caribbean, who speaks eloquently and astutely on matters that affect CARICOM nations. He's a native of Barbados and a wonderful human being to engage with us as far as global political events and trends are concerned. Mr. Corbin, we're happy that you have graced us with your presence yet another time on Rumination with Andrew. Please ensure, ladies and gentlemen, that you like and you share the video as much as possible. Also, I'd appreciate if you could also subscribe to the channel, one of the few geopolitical channels in the Caribbean. Mr. Corbin, thanks for joining. And we would like to ask you the first question, sir. In your last discussion, you intimated that Jamaica sits atop of billions of dollars of oil reserves. Could you elaborate a little bit more on that for our viewers?
Sure. Well, thank you, Andrew, and thank you to all of our listeners and our viewers this afternoon for joining the program and for taking the time to listen to this informative podcast. And thank you for having me as well. It's an honor to bring truth, knowledge, and education to our sovereign nationals of the Caribbean. And in answer to your question about Jamaica's oil reserves, we have to remember that historically, oil reserves in Jamaica were first discovered in 1926.
Yes.
And the question would be asked, why hasn't Jamaica taken advantage of this oil reserve in all of its political development history as well as its economic history?
Mm-hmm.
And that comes down to one simple question. The control mechanism that destroyed the Federation and then formed the control mechanism of the US hegemony in CARICOM.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to keep the region under the control of the so-called US Southern Watch situation, the discovery of oil and gas in Jamaica would mean that Jamaica would, at that time, or in the early development of the 1960s and 70s, would actually rival the development of the oil industry in southern Texas
Mm.
and the Gulf of Mexico. Simply because if Jamaica had taken advantage of it, had been geopolitically as well as domestically, politically motivated and independent enough to take advantage of that opportunity,
Mhm.
the British colonial imperial control, along with the US hegemony of the US dollar, would have seen it as a massive threat
Yes.
because Jamaica would have become the Singapore of the Northern Caribbean, rivaling trade routes, being able to garner business and so on and so forth, and increase trade to the Caribbean region. Thus, in the overall context of
Mhm.
exposing the soft underbelly of the United States of America,
Mhm.
where it could be infiltrated by foreign powers. That was the perception of the United States as well as the British colonial imperial empire, or what was left of it, I should
Okay.
say, because the British colonial imperial empire ended at the beginning of the Second World War.
Mhm. Mhm. Now, they are talking about misinformation and disinformation and malinformation, as you're aware. Now, if somebody should ask us or any of our viewers, how do we prove what you're saying in terms of the oil? What would you say?
Well, Andrew, that's not rocket science. You can just go to Google and you can go to any one of the financial analysts and so
Mhm.
on with regard to the oil and gas industry and look at all the videos and everything that you see there for yourself.
Yeah,
Where do you, I mean, it's not that I'm making stuff up or we're making stuff up to make this
absolutely.
podcast sound good.
Mhm.
We're here taking the actual factual information that is being presented to the geopolitical analysts as well
Mhm.
as the global environment
Mhm.
for analysis by those persons who are interested. You see, you have to understand that the term conspiracy theorists actually
Yes,
was a propaganda term coined by the CIA
correct.
and then was translated into the mainstream media where
Mhm.
misinformation, disinformation, and factual and fact checking all became part and parcel of that. And what we have to remember is that those persons who use these terms are usually too lazy to do the actual research themselves. So
Correct.
I have no fear with regard to somebody fact checking me or being able to come to me and say, "Can you prove what you've just said?" No problem
Mhm.
at all.
Yeah.
No problem at all.
Yeah. And we're living in a region, Fred, where many people are not informed. Unfortunately, we have been schooled, but many of us are indoctrinated. So we think what we hear on the media, what we read in our textbooks at school, those are the facts. And what
Yes.
is outside of the establishment, then you should not believe what you hear or what you read because the establishment has not confirmed it. And that is why I'm asking you, because I face the same thing here when I speak about the IMF, when I speak about the World Bank, people question me and say, "What are you talking about?" Because the IMF is there to help Jamaica to reduce its debt, right? But that is not the role of the IMF, but that is how they see it. And then they think I'm also peddling misinformation, disinformation, and I'm also a conspiracy theorist. So I'm asking you because I'm in your line. I'm queuing with you. I understand where you're coming from, but that is what the reality is. Now, another question I would like to ask Mr. Corbin is, does Jamaica have gold? You sent me a video the other day, and I really forgot to have put this up. And where? If we do have gold, where is that gold? Where can that gold be found? And why has this not been known to the Jamaican people for all these years?
Well, first of all, you have to remember that usually gold veins and gold reserves are usually found around ancient volcanic activity and magma flows.
Mhm.
And Jamaica is no stranger to either subterranean volcanic activity, not on the surface in the form of a volcano or vents, but it is subject to subterranean volcanic activity, which creates massive earthquakes.
Mhm.
And during these Pliocene era um, subterranean activity, we had gold veins becoming prevalent and closer to the surface in the Crawl River area of Jamaica.
Mm.
And because of the advances in new technology in magnetometry, where you can fly an aircraft over the terrain using specialized magnetometers that create signals and infrared chart propagation,
Mhm.
you will actually discover the infrared signature of different densities of rock, which
Mhm.
identify potential gold veins. And then all you have to do is to drill. And if you actually hit the particular vein of quartz, which quartz and gold usually come together because they're very hot and high pressure elements that are created together.
Mm-hmm.
So wherever you have quartz, you will have gold
Mm-hmm.
alongside each other. And
Mm-hmm.
usually it's within quartz veins that you will find gold deposits, whether in large amounts or small amounts. And the
Mm-hmm.
Coral River area is actually one of those areas in Jamaica. We don't know the extent of the gold reserves as yet, but
Mm-hmm.
we have a Canadian company who has bought the rights to do the exploration.
Is it
And
Barrick Gold? Is it Barrick Gold?
I'm not sure what the name of the company
Yeah,
is,
because
but
there's one here in the DR that is Barrick Gold, and they're also from Canada. So I'm not sure if it's the same company, and they're
it,
also discovering gold here, also in the Dominican Republic.
yes, it may definitely be them. I don't know. I have not researched the company name. I'm more interested in why the government of Jamaica has not nationalized
Mm-hmm.
gold exploration and created employment as well as its own security framework to
Mm-hmm.
secure the gold reserves for the benefit of Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
Why are the government of Jamaica bringing in foreign explorations and then there is absolutely zero talk in the political spectrum about securing these national assets and these reserves and these resources for the benefit of the Jamaica? I
And
just don't understand it.
what is your opinion? What is your judgment on the reason why the government has brought in foreign investors and not domestic ones? But also, I would like to segue, I would like to piggyback on that question. Do we really have the expertise in the Caribbean, the equipment, the resources to do that?
Well, it's not a matter of not, I don't think it's a problem of not having the resources and the equipment.
Hmm.
All it needs is for local investors to get together, okay,
Hmm.
and bring in the equipment, bringing the subcontract expertise
Hmm.
to be able to do the exploration. Why do
Hmm.
we have to always import a foreign entity that is
Yes.
going to be taking a vast percentage when all we have to do is to bring in a consultant, bring in a management team for a build, own, and operate operation for a period of 5 years, and
Hmm.
then take it from there. This is what Africa has done. In the case of Burkina Faso, just to
Yes,
draw an
Burkina.
example, in
Hmm.
Burkina Faso, a country that I've visited 3 times,
Hmm.
what happened there is that you had a corrupt government in place bringing in foreign exploration and foreign investment, and they were controlling the gold industry.
Hmm.
They took 80%, and the rest was distributed in very small applications to the rest of the country, which was a
Hmm.
drop in the bucket, almost nothing.
Yes.
Whereas when Ibrahim Traore has now taken control of that situation, he has nationalized the gold exploration and the mining with the consultation of foreign experts to be able to build a management team and a worker force to
Hmm.
be able to continue the gold mining and ramp it up by 20%,
Hmm.
all
Hmm.
for interests of Burkina Faso, because he understands that in order to rebuild his country, he must have a gold-backed asset to
Yeah.
where the new Sahel currency that he has just launched, along with Niger as well as Mali, that Sahel currency is now gold-backed. In addition to
Mm.
that, he now has other African countries that are doing the same. Look at Zimbabwe.
Niger. Hmm.
Zimbabwe.
Hmm.
Zimbabwe has just done it. Zimbabwe has just launched a new currency that is gold backed with gold and silver,
Hmm.
and that alliance is happening. You also now have Angola, who has just done the same thing. These are examples that we need to bring into the Caribbean region, where when we have gold reserves, oil and gas reserves, anthracite, silver, quartz, whatever, we need to make sure that all of our systems of operation train our locals, train our local teams, and make sure that the management structure and the management committee that sits above them ensures that the profits stay in the region.
Hmm. And yet, the last conversation we had, I told you about the importance of an army. And we can look at Burkina Faso with Ibrahim Traore, and he was a military leader, right? Was he a military guy? So he has that expertise and he knows how to ward off these imperial powers. We don't. And another thing is that we are the backyard of the United States. We're so close that they control every movement, they know everything that we do. How would we be able to do something, to undertake something of the magnitude that Ibrahim Traore did? It's going to be a tall challenge, wouldn't you think?
I don't view it as a tall challenge. I view it as a strategic challenge.
Okay.
I
Okay.
view it as a strategic challenge that must be embarked upon with a certain focus on making sure that like minds are brought to the table. If you
Hmm.
don't secure like minds, you cannot create the tactics and the strategy in order to be able to build success. Again, we come back to Ibrahim Traore.
Yes.
Before he actually took power in Burkina Faso, he built a parallel parliament and
Yeah.
then he took power so that
Hmm.
there was continuity of government from day one.
Hmm.
At the end of the day, the most important thing for the Caribbean region to do is to build like minds on the ground. This is what we want to do with our natural resources. Here is what we want to be able to do for each Caribbean territory to control our natural resources, whether
Hmm.
it be geothermal, whether it be marine resources in food security, whether it be oil and gas, whether it be gold and silver, whatever resources we have. We must create a cadre of like minds who have the understanding that the preservation of our each individual territories are going to be solidified and strategically built on truth, knowledge, and education, as I mentioned before,
Hmm.
and the ability for meritocracy, practicality, and honesty to back the whole thing up.
Hmm.
Otherwise than that, you're just going to be a target for neocolonialism again.
Yeah, but would we have to change the mindset? Because I think that that is what is critical here. Because, even the whole concept of democracy, as we understand it, it's a US style democracy that we know that we're accustomed to. So once we in the Caribbean, I mean, we, the citizens, we believe if our government is not doing what is the approach or what would have been the approach of the US, then we are just not doing the right thing. So how are we going to reshape the minds or the mindset of our Caribbean people?
Well, the first and foremost and most important thing to recognize is that we don't have democracy in the Caribbean.
Right,
There is nothing called democracy.
right,
It is a cliche that to
right.
say that we have a democratic society.
Hmm.
Okay? Nothing could be further from the truth.
Hmm.
We are nothing more than the pawns of a hegemony
Correct.
and neocolonialism offshoot that is controlled from the city of London and Washington.
Hmm.
And at the end of the day, our focus, in order to be able to break free of that mindset, must focus right now on the education of our younger generations.
Right.
First of all, define what democracy is not.
Yes.
Then define what sovereign nationalism can and is.
Correct.
Once you have defined sovereign nationalism
Hmm.
and you build a nationalistic society
Hmm.
on truth, knowledge, and education, you have no problem putting a strategic plan in place for your region.
Mm, mm. I think I can, because the other question I was going to ask, but I think you've answered, Jordan. Who controls the Caribbean? You've already told us, and are our prime ministers in charge, or are we controlled by other dominant powers? I think you have answered that question already, be they financial and political. Now, Guyana is touted to be an oil-rich nation, and we have heard of tremendous economic growth registered in that South American nation, that South American country. Has that growth translated, Fred, into the upliftment of the Guyanese people? And if not, why?
Well, I think, again, we have to go back to the history of the oil exploration deals that were done with Mobil Exxon. And again, this goes back to where governments are controlled by the by the exploration entity as well as the U.S. hegemony. And when you look at the oil exploration contracts for Guyana,
Mhm.
why is it that a country that is sitting on the next 500,000 years of oil production
Mhm.
is only negotiating a contract at 3%?
Yeah.
That's madness, utter
Mhm.
madness.
Mhm.
Yes, you can build the Guyana economy on 3%, but it takes far longer. In addition to that, you always have to bring in offshore expertise, which reinforces the stakeholder capitalism in your society and
Mhm.
does nothing for your sovereign nationality and your sovereign national upliftment of your people.
Mhm.
Guyana right now is caught between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah.
They can't renegotiate the contract for another 25 years, and they have to bring in the Chinese to build bridges. They have to bring in other entities to build ports. They have to bring in other entities to build railways and so on and so forth. And we recognize this when we did the Free Winds Caribbean Food Security and Regional Development Initiative. And I
Mm-hmm.
wrote a document which I will share with you,
Mm-hmm.
um, called the Anna Regina Freeport Development for Guyana,
Mm-hmm.
where Free Winds Caribbean would have brought in 6.8 billion US dollars to develop a northern port in the region of Anna Regina, linked to the Roraima district and Manaus by rail,
Mm-hmm.
as well as bridges spanning the Demerara, as well as the Supanam area from and across the islands of Wakenham into Anna Regina.
Mm-hmm.
And when we researched this, we recognized that Guyana, as well as Brazil, could benefit exponentially from a northern port in the north of Guyana in Region 2.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at that development and what it would do for Guyana, it complemented the oil and gas industry so exponentially that the ability for Guyana to become a dominant power in regional trade in the region would have been through the roof. And the thing
Mm.
is, that project was designed 15 years ago. Can you imagine what Guyana's
Wow.
position would be if that project had been built?
The
And we
followed,
only
yes.
that
Mm-hmm.
project could have been built in 6 years. The thing is,
Mm.
we had negotiations with the development bank, Brazilian Development Bank, and the CEO of that operation at the time told us, he said, if you can guarantee us that we have the opportunity to complement our investment into Guyana from the Takatu River all the way to Georgetown,
Mm-hmm.
we will build a 4-lane highway with a rail link at our cost.
Mm-hmm.
That was the Brazilian Development Bank.
Yeah.
So it was so well. It was when you read that document, you will understand. I mean, I'll send it to you. When
Yeah.
you read that document, you'll understand the scope of development that has been in place for Guyana and for the Caribbean region way in advance of Mobile Exxon ever coming into the region. We were there long before Mobile Exxon, and we
Mm-hmm.
recognized that at that time, when the talks were only just beginning with Mobile Exxon, that we had the ability to bring and leverage not only the financial power, but also the development vision as well as the economic vision for Guyana.
Mm-hmm. On a radio program that you were on yesterday in Barbados, you tend to speak very highly of the BRICS nation, and you think that the BRICS might be a sort of counter-revolutionary power or movement to, Western imperialism. But when you look at the BRICS nation, like you look at Brazil, maybe outside of Russia, um, Brazil is controlled by the US. So how is it that, a nation like Brazil, even India, is going to be countering what the Western imperialists are doing?
Well, what we have to look at very carefully is that the perception of the United States controlling Brazil
Mm-hmm.
is very clear to some people. Some people think that Brazil is controlled by the United States of America.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, that's not the case
Okay.
because Brazil is actually responsible for 20% of the United States imports.
Mm-hmm.
So when President Trump decided that he was going to put a 50% tariff on Brazil because they were hosting the BRICS conference, Brazil said, okay, fine, no problem. Because at the end of the day, the US consumer is the one that's paying the cost, not
Mm-hmm.
us.
Mm-hmm.
Not us.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to export to you.
Mm-hmm.
We can shift that 20% and go elsewhere, and you'll be left with a 20% deficit in imports of vital materials.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So at the end of the day, when we look at BRICS and what is happening with BRICS, and we have to be very careful, we have to be very clear about what BRICS actually is. BRICS is becoming the new neo-colonial power. We have to be clear about that. It is becoming a neo-colonial power. Doesn't matter all of the fancy talk and all of the eloquent writings and so on and so forth. The devil is in the details. And everything, you always have to remember that everything starts out with good intentions and then becomes a racket.
Correct.
And one of the things that we must be careful of is that the Caribbean region must not be dragged into a Russian whole hands situation.
Mm-hmm.
We must be reserved. We must establish our sovereign national vision, and
Mm-hmm.
we must remain independent as a unified region, as trading partners only. The danger is that if you have one Caribbean country joining BRICS and people see that it's working for them, the tendency in the Caribbean is everybody wants to jump on the bandwagon.
Correct.
And that's exactly how the United States captured CARICOM,
Mm-hmm.
because they implemented it in Jamaica, they implemented it in Trinidad, the two largest manufacturers, one end of the region from the other, and
Mm-hmm.
everybody else joined the crew.
Mm-hmm.
And then they formed the OECS, which is the trading center of the small islands.
Yes.
And ultimate control was seized then. Do not let us rush off and join the whole hands crew that everybody wants to do with BRICS. Let us be a unified, solidified on sovereign nationalism, on the ability to utilize our resources, and most importantly, utilize our most precious resource, which is our people,
Mm-hmm.
and create a unified environment on trade.
So do you think the BRICS nations are what we call controlled opposition? Do you think that they are controlled opposition group?
I wouldn't say that they're necessarily a controlled opposition. I would say that they are a group of nations that are bringing a new paradigm to usher in a new financial paradigm for the world.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as I said in my podcast yesterday, what alarmed me and sent red flags flying along my horizon was their allegiance to the United Nations. And this is extremely dangerous.
Correct.
Okay. Their allegiance to the United Nations and the United Nations credence means that at the end of the day, one could look at the BRICS nations as a Trojan horse.
Mm-hmm.
What we want to be able to do in the Caribbean region is to identify our sovereign nationalism, create our own one trading platform for
Mm-hmm.
a gold backed currency,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
solid money backed by gold and silver, and
Mm-hmm.
make sure that our money is actually gold and silver and our currency is just as strong. Where when we say we can purchase something, we can back it up. And
Yeah.
when we say we're going to take a loan, we can repay it. And when we say that we're not going to default on loan payments, we meet that with honesty and integrity on our loan payments. And we make sure that the education of our younger generation follows suit along the MPH protocol, which is meritocracy, practicality, and honesty. Otherwise than that, we will be spinning our wheels in the same cesspool of trying to hold everybody's hands at the same time and getting nowhere.
Now, is Haiti the model of where what they want these neocolonialists or these imperialists want us to be like? Because Haiti is also, we know that has a lot of natural resources, but those natural resources are not exploited. They're not exploited and not being used in the interest of the Haitian people. So what would you say? Do you think that we are being used now, Haiti is being used as a model for where they want to take us?
Well, we have to understand first and foremost is that we're facing a global financial collapse within the next few months,
Mm-hmm.
where the neocons and the globalists are attempting to shut down the global financial system, create a cyber polygon event which takes the banks offline, and then come back in with an excuse that, oh, we've had problems and so on and so forth, and then take everything and
Mm-hmm.
transfer it into digital tokens. This
Mm-hmm.
is what we're facing. This is the reality. The
Yes.
reality that we're facing is that we're facing a global financial shutdown where everybody who has any money in the banks will lose every single cent they've ever owned.
Wow.
I want you to go to YouTube, and I'm saying this for the benefit of our listeners.
Audience. Mhm.
Go to YouTube and watch a documentary called The Great Taking.
Mm.
If you want to watch that documentary, you will understand the grave danger that the world is in. In addition to that, I will send you a link that you can put
Yeah,
on the
description, yes.
podcast
Mm-hmm.
that shows a friend of mine in Canada who is a gold and silver broker outlining what the Canadian government is about to do. They're about to shut down the Canadian banking system as of September.
Mm.
And this is going to have massive implications across the United States of America and by extension filter directly into the Caribbean because the Royal Bank of Canada and Canadian Imperial Bank of Canada are in the Caribbean region. We'll lose the
Correct.
two biggest banks in the Caribbean region overnight.
Correct.
Boom, done. And anything that you have in those two banks is gone.
Because Nova Scotia Bank is that connected to that bank in
Uh,
Canada? Right.
yep,
Yeah.
yep. CIBC, Bank of Nova Scotia, and Royal Bank, which
Mm-hmm.
means that Bank of St. Lucia,
Mm-hmm.
the the Republic Bank, as well as all the other banks who are interconnected to that banking system, the big three,
Mm-hmm.
they go offline. And
Mm-hmm.
anything that you have in them is gone forever. You'll never get it back. So if you are sitting on a nest egg of say $4.6 million and you think that you're going to have that to have a nice retirement, hello, you better start planting a garden in the back of your house because you're not going to be able to buy food or anything. It's gone.
Wow. Now, are we witnessing, Fred, in the Caribbean, another attempt at re-enslaving our people for transnational corporations and firms? And if yes, how do we fight against these proverbial Goliaths?
Well, to answer your question, let's get back to Haiti because I didn't answer
Yeah,
that
yeah,
question
yeah, yeah,
completely.
yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Let's get back to Haiti because your other question fits right into that. The transnational firms that control and exploit the resources in Haiti at the expense of the Haitian people do not have offices or anything in Haiti.
Mm-hmm.
They control their crews on the ground in Haiti. And as
Through
I said in
NGOs,
my
right? Through
right,
NGOs, right? Mm-hmm.
through NGOs and through private contractors.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, private contractors are on the ground who recruit local people to join their gangs.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said before in my previous podcast with you, Haiti has 16 private ports.
Yes.
So anything comes in and goes out at will. And there's no accounting, there's no central customs, there's no immigration policy, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the United States of America has the second largest US embassy in the world built in Haiti,
Yeah, that's true. That's a fact. Mm-hmm.
which means that by symbolism alone, this tells you who controls the US.
Mm-hmm.
However, it is a conglomerate of US, British, French, and Canadian interests that control Haiti, and they all sit outside the region. In order for Haiti to become a national sovereign nation again, to be able to contribute to Caribbean prosperity and join CARICOM as a real partner, or the Caribbean nations as a real partner, in a united environment, those oligarchs have to give up their power. Good luck with that.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
because you can put an invasion force on the ground. You can go into Haiti with 1 million men, and you'll be there for 30 years, and you'll still lose the war because you're not controlling what's going on. Okay, look at the U.S. and Afghanistan. The United States went into Afghanistan and then went into Iraq. For 20 years, they spun their wheels over there because the oligarchs and the bankers are controlling everything from outside. Haiti
Correct.
is the exact example.
So what is CARICOM doing there? What is Jamaica, and
CARICOM,
other, yeah.
look, CARICOM is fulfilling the tokenization of its name.
Mm-hmm.
All they're doing is creating a president. Oh, CARICOM is doing this and CARICOM is doing that. CARICOM hasn't done nothing for Haiti. They've turned up, they've occupied a little office space, they've written some documents, and then off they go again. And that's all CARICOM has ever been able to do for Haiti.
Mm-hmm.
They do not have any influence in Haiti because they do not control the oligarchs that control Haiti
Mm-hmm.
and the natural resources of Haiti. The same oil and gas fields that Jamaica has
Mm-hmm.
sit under Haiti as well.
Mm-hmm.
Haiti could have one of the biggest oil and gas industries in the Western Hemisphere.
Mm-hmm.
They can also have one of the most lucrative rare earth mineral development projects in the Western Hemisphere
Mm-hmm.
because they're sitting on some of the largest iridium and copper
Yes.
deposits in the Western Hemisphere. Now,
Mm-hmm.
we have to remember that a lot of people think that iridium comes from outer space. No, it doesn't.
Mm.
Iridium is a byproduct of ancient volcanic activity as well, and you can always find iridium as a byproduct of copper processing. When you process copper ore, you get iridium as a byproduct.
Mm-hmm.
Haiti sits on massive deposits of copper ore. Thereby, you can create iridium from that process. It has natural deposits of iridium, yes,
Mm-hmm.
and they're used for all of the complexities within our modern devices, space and missile systems, satellites, electric cars, all the rest of it. This is why Haiti is so important for the oligarchs to remain in control,
Yeah.
because those are the industries that they own.
Okay, in 2 minutes, Mr. Corbin, I would like you to tell us, or viewers, is it too late for us to fight back? Do you think that the war now is too late to fight back against what these oligarchs are doing?
Definitely not. We
Yeah.
have we have every opportunity to make sure that we can stand as sovereign nationals of the Caribbean region. We must encourage all of our Haitian brothers and sisters to look at Haiti from the eyes of a new world. Look at it from the eyes of the colonial powers when they first arrived.
Mhm.
This is a new world. We see the whole world changing from a unipolar world to a multipolar trend.
Mhm.
And Haiti must be viewed by its own people as a new world. Look through the eyes of what the colonial imperial powers saw when they first got there, but
Mhm.
look at it as a sovereign national opportunity to raise your country and stand up and become a sovereign national Haitian republic once more.
Yeah.
Why are we going to stand down when so much has been lost from 1793 all
Yeah.
the way through history? We have
1804.
300
Mhm.
plus years of resistance,
Mhm.
okay, in Haiti.
Mhm.
They led the resistance and the revolution
Mhm.
for Caribbean independence. Are
Mhm.
you telling me that you're now going to stand down when the blood of your ancestors is soaked in the soil of your sovereign nation and tell
Mhm.
me that you're giving up? I say absolutely not. Stand up and fight. Stand up and fight for Caribbean independence. Stand up
Yes.
and fight for Caribbean sovereignty. Stand up and fight for Caribbean unity and bring
Mhm.
every single young woman and child along with you, because the Caribbean region has so much more to offer the world. And unified we stand.
Great way of ending our podcast. Thank you so much again, Fred Corbin, and I look forward to hearing and also inviting you another time on our program. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Have a good
Okay,
day.
same here. So thank you so much, people, for joining, and we were happy to have Mr. Corbin again on our program. I hope that you'd like, you share, and you subscribe. Remember now that it takes cash to care. So those of you who want to make your contributions, you can make your contributions to Andy underscore Tucker underscore 450 at hotmail.com. That is Andy underscore Tucker underscore 450 at hotmail.com. Thank you so much. And remember now that we must inform ourselves and up, you mighty people, you can achieve what you will.